Greetings, everyone, and welcome to 4Point Pathways. I'm Eric Stevens. Recently, I had the opportunity to speak at a Digital Marketing for Financial Services event, and what I did was a bit different. Because this was an event for marketing-oriented folks, I wanted to take the forms message, which is usually a business and an operational message, and give them some insight from a marketing perspective. And so what I'm going to do for you now is the presentation that I did for them on stage at the Summit for the Marketing. But the intent here is to give you some background on the importance of documents and forms inside your organization. So one of the things, though, I want to start with, and if you followed my podcast, you know some of my background. We've talked a bit about that. But one thing that I haven't mentioned is I'm a font nerd. I've been a font nerd for decades. I was doing original document layout in Windows 3.1.1, which tells you how old I am. And as part of that, whenever somebody starts talking about fonts, I get really interested. So what happened a few weeks ago is we were doing a strategic planning session with one of our major insurance customers. And we'd done work with them in the past. We helped them set up their infrastructure, and we were laying out the roadmap for the next quarters, years, that kind of a thing, see where they want to go with their forms and their documents. Now, this is an organization that has 21,000 forms, documents, correspondence that they keep track of, that they manage. And this represents 39 million customer touches every year. So that's a big deal. And we knew that they'd gone through a corporate rebranding a couple of years back and were able to change 21,000 documents in a matter of weeks, redo the logos on that. But on their plans for this year, taking up the whole year, they had a line and it was font updates. Well, okay, I'm a font nerd. I got to ask, guys, why are you doing font updates? And they're, well, marketing changed the corporate font. And we have to go through and we have to touch every single form, document, letter that we manage for the organization because we have to change it. But we're not doing it all at once. We're just touching it when we change something because, as you know, if you go in and you change the font on a document, well, did that push a line onto a second page that you don't want it hanging on the second page? Did it cut off a label on a fillable text box? Did it move imagery around on it? We know those kinds of things happen all the time. And so they were really struggling with how they were going to do that. But think of it from this perspective. As a marketing person, you've got a part of your website. It gets 750,000 unique users a week. And it's got the wrong font or the wrong logo or the wrong color. Wouldn't you immediately go in and change that and fix that because it's wrong? But you've got tens of thousands of document templates throughout your organization, forms that are the customer touch point that are being handed to people, and they're not being updated. They're not being updated. That organization is sending out forms with the wrong corporate font. Okay, now it's probably good enough. I happen to know those and they look pretty good, but they're not right. And this is the challenge that marketing doesn't understand when they're not dealing with the operational piece. Another story. So a friend of mine went and got a new mortgage. Now he went in and he used the websites and the analytical tools that all of the major banks provide. He went in, he did shopping comparison, he found the organization, he talked to an advisor, really liked what he got, liked the offer that he got. So he went in to sign his new mortgage. The representative there then printed out the documents that they needed to sign because, you know, you needed the signatures. Okay, fine. But that person then took 2 copies, because one for you, one for the bank, and started going through them sheet by sheet and scratching out sections, scratching out entire pages. Oh, this doesn't apply to you. This doesn't apply to that product. This doesn't apply to you. This doesn't apply to you. And then had them initial all of those changes, and then signed it on, and then handed them their copy with all of the pieces scratched out. So as much as marketing focuses on a wonderful customer experience, on the acquisition of it, often the post-acquisition experience, that signing, that things that you send me after I become a customer, they really fall down, they really fail, because that's the experience he remembers, not the wonderful experience of the websites and the emails and the advisors and the interactions. He remembers that you couldn't get a document right. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about personalization of the document. Not only is that a marketing document, even though it is an operational document, it is a marketing document because it is presenting the organization's brand and its vision. If the font was wrong, it's wrong. But it's also a marketing document because it's part of the experience. And that experience, that moment, destroyed all the rest of that experience. So think about it from this perspective. What if you could take your marketing materials and personalize those? You would never send me an email that didn't say, "Hi, Eric," on it. If you knew who I was, you would always have my name in it. And you would use every piece of information to personalize that email, to make sure the content was what I wanted. You personalize your websites. You want me to make sure that I'm seeing what you want me to see. But then I go to download a piece of marketing collateral, a PDF white paper, and it's generic. Why isn't it targeted to me? Why doesn't it organize itself to emphasize the things that I want to see based on what you know about me, whether they're marketing analytics or whether they're raw data that exists because I'm a customer? Why isn't it co-branded with your partners, with your brokers, your agents, with your dealers? Why isn't it automatically co-branded so that you don't have to do any work and it automatically knows, oh, I came through this dealer, therefore I get that dealer's information always on top of it? What if you could update your document content, 21,000 document templates, 39 million per year users touching that, but you can update that faster than you can update your web content? You can do that with a properly built document automation structure where you only change the terms and conditions that you need to change. And once you change them, then they go for approval by legal, approval by the executive, and then they're automatically inserted and they change everything immediately. What if you could pre-fill forms so that your customers get their information inserted into it and they don't have to re-enter their address every single time? That's a major issue. I'll tell you a story about that in a second. But you want to be able to pre-fill it because that level of personalization says you know about them. You know, and you're trying to make their lives easier, because that's not only a show personalization, that's a show customer experience. That's a nicer customer experience. What if you could dynamically produce forms, documents, and letters that only included the terms and conditions, the clauses, the sections that were required based on the data and what you knew about the individual who's going to receive it, or about the partner, agent, broker, dealer, whatever it was, and what they needed to include in there, so that the document that you're sending out, the correspondence, the form, has just what it needs to have and has no extras. You don't get into this scratching out pages scenario all the way along. What if you could stop printing documents? Better, what if you could stop having your users and your customers printing out documents? I don't have a printer. If you ask me to download a form, print it, physically fill it out, physically sign it, scan it, and email it back to you, you're making me do all the work, and you're making me go out to Staples to print it because I don't have a printer. Maybe you want the option to do it, but why can't I do that online? Well, the answer is you can do it online, but you've not enabled it for them. And when you combine that, so I want a dynamically produced document, a fillable form that has only the terms and conditions and sections that you need for the process, that is pre-filled with all of the data that I have, or doesn't even have it because you don't need it, but let's say it's pre-filled, then I can fill out online and submit. So then now it goes straight into your systems. Nobody has to re-enter anything. No mistakes are made, no errors. Add digital signatures in there and boom, you've got a signed document online that eliminated all your data entry, was customized, personalized. You have a fabulous experience and you still have the document that you need for whatever purpose. So let me tell you about two organizations that have done this kind of a thing. One, major bank, North American bank, who does automobile financing, like they all do. And in this case, what they did was they used this document automation capability to automate the automobile packages that they're producing on behalf of dealerships. Now, they do this in a couple of different ways. So they have two or three variants. One is a dealer variant where it's co-branded with the dealer, and one is theirs original. They also white label it through other broker entities. What we allowed them to do was to have one infrastructure and one set of templates that drove all of those interactions. Again, dynamically data-driven. Oh, this is a dealer one. I'm going to co-brand it. What's the dealer information? Oh, this is the address of the dealer. This is the salesperson. Here's the logo. I'm going to co-brand it. What we also put in place was mechanisms whereby that it will automatically extract or include terms and condition clauses that are relevant for the geographic location, the state that you're in, for the product, okay, that you're being offered, leasing versus loans, okay, for the dealership perhaps, for the vehicle that you're purchasing or you're leasing, all of those different things. The other thing that this does is dynamically produce and fill out for the customer government-based documents. So that the dealer is now offering a better service because, oh, look here, your license plate authentication page, that's already filled out for you. I don't have to hand that to you at the dealership and have you physically write in all the data that I already know, like the VIN number, all of that kind of stuff. What that does is creates a whole package that's ready to go, delivered to the dealership or delivered to the local branch, delivered to the customer. So already delivered so that it can be printed locally if it needs to be physically signed, but it gives them the leverage to go to electronic signatures when they wish to go to electronic signatures, because everything is all there, all dynamically produced, all personalized, all customized, all co-branded as it should be. Last, major financial institution wants to improve the service at a branch level. This is pre-COVID. What they did was they looked at all of their different documents and they attempted to get rid of signatures as much as possible. But in many cases, they still needed a signature on a document. They couldn't get rid of all of them. But the problem is that when somebody wanted to make even simple changes, if there was a form that needed to be signed, they had to go into the branch where the representative would find the appropriate form, print out the blank copy, set it down in front of them. They'd fill it out, physically sign it, hand it back to the representative who would make a copy for them, hand them their copy. Okay, they'd leave and the representative would enter all of the data in. Okay, that has a lot of problems associated with it. Just operationally, the data entry could be in error, often was, okay? There's no actual connection between what you wrote down and what got entered. So it's not just a matter of errors, it's a matter of is it actually aligned to what you wanted to do? And it's just a physical process. So what they did was they changed it so that the form is now integrated with the backend systems. So now the person comes in, sits down, and now the representative pulls up their account and the form that they want, and the data is pre-populated as much as possible. Then in the form, the representative enters the new information, beneficiary, address change, whatever it happens to be. Turns the screen around, says, is this data all correct? Yes, it is. sign on the tablet, the electronic tablet in front of you, sign, signature slapped on there. Okay, now we have a signed copy, but the data that they entered in goes straight back into the system. He entered it once, he didn't have to enter it a second time. It goes straight in. It was entered as reviewed, a much tighter closed loop scenario. And then a copy could be printed, or better, a button pressed and a copy emailed to you. Now I don't have to print anything. Much nicer, much smoother. Even better, COVID hits. Nobody can go into branches. So now they shifted and they were able to add digital signatures where they could take that document, they could get on a phone, get on a Zoom call or whatever, talk to the advisor enters the information, hits a button, it sends it to the individual, they receive it in their email, they digitally sign it, they send it back, the data is extracted, inserted into the systems, and the digitally signed object can now be attached into the whatever records are necessary, into a records management system, into a document management system, whatever it needs to be. All automated because they created this personalized mechanism of customizing and filling out the forms as much as possible for the individuals. And this is expanding even farther so that they can increase the coverage of digital signatures inside the organization so that they get more flexible documents being provided out. So what I've talked about today is the importance of all of the documents, the forms, the correspondence inside of an organization, and how they have a marketing aspect. They have a brand representation. Often they're the customer touch point, especially for your customers, the ones who actually have your product, not your new acquisitions. And by not personalizing them, by not customizing them, by not making them specific to the individual, you're creating a poor customer experience, but you're also increasing your own costs. You're increasing your operational costs, and you're stopping yourselves from moving forward into a more fully electronic end-to-end story. And what we want to do is we want to talk about the entire stream of customer experience, from early acquisition, from lead gathering, all the way through the purchasing process, into the acquisition process, into the post-acquisition process. Marketing has a role to play all the way through there. Even though business and operations take over those end pieces, we want to have that same consistency of experience and personalization of your documents, of your forms, pre-filling your forms, digital signatures, all have a tremendous role on that. Thank you very much for listening. And for more information on this, please contact us or go to our website.